Check, check. Hey, BW. What's up? Welcome to the Lose the Tempo Network here at WKMF1.
Hey, where's your pen? I'm checking my pockets. That was funny, huh?
I like that shit.
That was funny,
Hey,
huh?
where's your pen?
I'm checking my pocket.
I'm like, wait. Hey, where is my pen?
Hey, can you tell that was like natural or like set up?
Nah, I look a little natural.
That was set up, huh? Oh, it was natural? That was a setup. It's funny because I'm implying that I should have had it in my pockets.
Yeah, nah. I mean, you kept me in check real quick. I didn't know where
Like,
my
we're-
fucking pen was.
True.
Yeah, bro, let me reply. Is it me or does my vocal sound low? Or does yours sound low?
No, well, I think I sound good, but how do I sound for you?
I think you sound fine.
I think I sound fine. Good. Yeah, I sound pretty good. Yeah, I like this.
That should be straight. Check.
Oh, I have another one. I have another thing I want to talk about. I've been seeing a lot from like people that run labels, and from the artist perspective. I think you have a good take on this, Robert. I want to hear your take on this.
Okay, I said, yeah. He said, can I pull up after work? I said, yeah, bro, but what time for sure?
Yeah, like yeah. What time can we expect you to come for sure? Yeah. You know what's good.
For sure. Oh, true. I have a show announcement too. Oh, yeah.
Are you playing another show? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got another.
Let's do it.
I'm going to play a show, you mean? Bro, I was so disappointed. I wasn't going to. No, yeah, we'll talk about it. Fuck
Cool.
it. I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Yeah, bro. I mean, yeah, well, I'm good to go, bro. I'm already
Oh,
tuned
let me
in.
get my twisted. Hold up.
Yeah, I'm already tuned in. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you wanted it, like, we'll get the end table. Yeah, that's what I was thinking more. So like,
right here. We can put something.
yeah,
right here.
yeah.
Actually, I already have something we can put right here.
I mean, I've wanted for our guests once we, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
you're
not
correct.
tripping right now.
You ain't tripping. I ain't tripping. I'm
How's everyone
tripping.
doing? I like how I look on or I like how the camera's looking. I hope you guys are liking the studio. We just remodeled it, moved some shit around. I hope you guys are liking like this atmosphere. I really feel like we're in a nice big studio now. Like I'd feel good walking into here and being like, oh, like if this wasn't my studio and I was like expecting a studio setup,
Like, oh, this is a sick setup.
yeah, I'd be like, this all right. Yeah, this will work. Yeah.
I mean, given what it looked like before and then to what it looks like now, and even before, our guests would come in and be like, "Oh, like,
Yeah.
okay, lose the tempo. I see y'all."
Yeah, but now it's like we have our own stations here now. We have like a mixing state, like a DJ booth station.
I feel like the setup before this one right here, like you kind of had to like move shit around to make
Yeah,
it a
and
certain
was
station.
crowded.
I feel you.
Yeah, we minimized everything we needed to.
Like after a while, it becomes a headache. But now that everything's all in its own zone,
I feel comfortable being in here. Like, not that I wasn't comfortable before, but now I'm like, yes, people could come in. There's not a shitload of wiring everywhere. I'm not trying to hide anything anywhere. Like, everything just feels in place now, you know? And I like it.
that's the other thing that I was like noticing too when we were trying to like mix or even set up the podcast, is that we would have to rearrange cables and like,
Yeah.
and sometimes that we might not often, but sometimes we might even put the cable different, or we might forget to like put the headphones in, or it's like simple stuff like that.
Some
Like,
certain things. It's just because I always had to tear down after the fact, just so I could feel. Because, like, think about it when we think about anything. Say you're setting up for something, we're setting up for this at the same time in like my own little work personal space, right? So it's like after we get done with the podcast, I'd have to break things down and put them in places to where I felt comfortable in putting myself back in like music producer mode, you know, because there's a difference between being in audio engineer mode and music production mode, you know.
explain that, like, for those that are like tuning in, don't really exactly know what you mean by that.
So I mean, there's
Like someone that's just like a DJ that doesn't
I got
necessarily
you.
know like that perspective. Like,
So an audio engineer is exactly what it sounds like, someone that engineers audio, but in a more like technical aspect, it's someone that works with miking people up, knowing like miking techniques, knowing how what mics to put on which instrument, what type of mic to use for each instrument, because you don't want to use a condenser mic for a kick bass, you know, like there's just certain things you need to know. You need to know about cables, you need to know about signal flow, you need to know about like phantom power, what not to put phantom power to, because you can fuck up some mics if you send phantom power. You know, just a bunch of like technical things. And when you're, I think when you're in that mindset, you're not really in the creative mindset. I guess there is a little bit like nerdy audio engineers could say there's an art form to it, you know, like
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's definitely is obviously when choosing mics and stuff like that. Like you could be, I don't know, you could just get really like creative and like technical with it, but in a sense, it's not that, especially compared to when you're producing, you know, like or just playing an instrument or something. There's definitely two different sides to that. So like when I have all the cables for each mic like laying around, and when I have like even like the camera set up, the light set up, that doesn't feel like studio, like music studio vibe to me. That gives me like production stage vibe, you know? So I always have to tear it down and get the studio looking music production, you know?
Like you don't want those type of distractions when you're in your producer mindset because you just focus on the creativity takes a lot of your mindset. So
I want to be
you
focused
want
only on
full, yeah, you want
creativity.
full, you
Yeah.
want your full brain span to be just on the creative part. So when like especially when you're like prior the previous setup that we had, like if you wanted to produce after we had like a podcast like this for your sake, so everything's like efficient and everything's like you're relaxed, you're comfortable, you had to like make things
I have to put
everything
back in
back on, like put the cables
place.
back in place,
It has to look good. I'm very like, I'm not very anal or anything
like
like
more
that.
organized, more cleaner,
I
like
have a
not
little
much
bit
of a
of
mess.
OCD. Yeah, I have a little bit of
Okay,
OCD.
okay, yeah, I'm the same as well.
But
Like,
I think all artists kind of have that OCD ness because it just comes with my art needs to be just as, you know. So it's like I or some people are just all over the. So there's some artists that are just all over the fucking place and they don't give a fuck. You feel me? But I'm not that person. I need to have my surroundings in a nice mood like me. If everything's tangled up, I feel like there's no feng shui in the room. I don't know how to explain it, but I just need organized.
and then with this new setup, everything's pretty much already stationed, cables,
Everything's here,
the
bro.
mixing gear, the podcast gear. Like it's much more of an easier transition now for someone like yourself who wants to produce like right after like making a podcast because you don't have to do.
I don't have to move anything.
Yeah, you don't have to move anything.
Literally, I do not have to move anything. I could leave the camera right there. I could leave these mics right here. I could leave the cables where they're at. I'll move the headphones, but that's because I have to use them in other aspects of the studio too. But we even have like a little chill area. Like there's a little couch for whoever wants to. Well, I mean, we've had guests like bring other guests, and they're all chilling. And we've always had the couch and whatnot, but it's in an area where it's more free. We have a little mixing area, like not a DJ area, but like a little bar area right here too. It's nice. I'm really proud of the work we put in here. It's looking nice. It's coming along. It's coming along.
Yeah, I mean, just regardless, I mean, I feel like we've always had a real dope setup, even including the previous setup, just based on like the first impressions of our guests that we've had.
Yeah.
Because even with the previous setup, we could be like, oh yeah, our setup is badass, but it could be one guest that comes in and be like, I ain't fuck with this. I don't fuck with this.
Yeah.
And it's always good to hear like stuff like that. It's like, oh, why don't you fuck with that? Or why do you like this? Like it's sometimes like, why do you like this setup? You know, is it the lighting? Is it the like the way it's stationed? Like for sure now I can imagine our guests coming in and being like, oh shit, like it's definitely like there's that booth for that for mixing. There's that booth for like merchandise. We have like bottles that we've picked up the past couple weeks. So you know we could test out some shots, test out some alcohol. You have your desktop right here in front of us, like your workstation for when like you're browsing on the internet, you're working on the podcast, you're working on your music. So I'm liking this new setup. I mean, you can't really tell right now from what the people are seeing, but if you were to come up, ever swing by to the studio, we'll do a vlog too. I think we could do a
I
vlog,
think we could do
and
a
like we
vlog.
could show like behind the scenes, and like especially if you guys follow the Instagram, Lucid Tempo. We every now and then we'll post like behind the scenes as well. So
Yeah,
good
facts.
incentive to follow the social media, especially on Instagram. We're always posting a lot of dope behind the scenes.
Maybe we could like in the future do like some cool raffle where we'll raffle something off. You guys got to do like a follow or something, and the raffle will be you guys get to sit in live to a Lose a Tempo podcast. You know, you guys
Yeah.
can come through, chill, kick it with us while we have a guest here and just experience this whole thing. You know, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I vote like for me. This is just me, but I feel like a lot of other people as well that think like me would want to like experience that, like
Yeah,
you know,
just
be
to see
like
what-
see like what goes into
Yeah,
producing
definitely.
a podcast like this, and then seeing the whole like getting everything ready, and then like to the end, and then like right after, like those are always like really fun parts, like before and after. Obviously, the podcast is fun, but even after like the podcast, like what we continue to talk about with our guests off the camera, like just that vibe is pretty dope.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just think like it would be cool to get used to just having people in front of us at all the time while we do this and whatnot.
Oh yeah, facts.
Yeah, because I think this would be
It's
it's
good
like
practice.
it is like honestly we probably I don't know, you probably have been able to see a difference in yourself as well, but like definitely doing a podcast has helped with public speaking like a shitload, especially when it comes to like doing presentations or doing shit online. Like you have to speak to people. Like I used to work for middle school, and we used to do before the like pandemic, and that's when like we had did the first podcast or whatever. And no, we had already been doing Lose the Tempo too for a little bit, and we started transitioning to Zoom sessions and stuff like that. So like all of my coworkers, we had to do like mock Zoom sessions and stuff like that. And it was just crazy to see how like unnatural or uncomfortable some of these people felt in front of the camera because they don't do it. And then I would do it, and they'd be like, "Oh, it seems like you do this all the time." And I'm like, I think I just understand, like we understand the translation between what we're recording and what we're doing, you know? Like we're aware of all of our body features, like how we come off, how we're looking when we're talking. Like, bro, you even
For sure,
like,
yeah.
you already like have like what your good side is and like your good face like
No, yeah, you don't
you
got. I don't gotta tell you. Like,
yeah, so it's
you know,
like
we both, and I can see it. Like, maybe not. Maybe, well, I can see it in you too. Like when,
it's more
and
relaxed.
also other guests. I can see another guests too. Like when they get on camera, there's certain things that they do where they just know when they're on camera, like they feel way more comfortable if they're maybe angled like this, because you know,
Yeah.
like this is for anyone to see, like whoever's on YouTube. So I get the
Exactly.
whole like when people get nervous, like they kind of like pause and they want to figure out what they want to say on camera. Let me ask you something though. Like from episode 0, do you feel like I've gotten better, like with my
Definitely,
speech?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, because I feel like when the first episodes that we've done, obviously you could tell, like at least I could tell, like the podcast experience for me is like, oh, I could
It's a
use a
work
lot
in
of work. I
progress,
could use a
bro.
lot of work. I feel like I talked like fast. I feel like I would stutter a lot more.
But I feel like you just weren't used to this style of dialogue, you know? Like
Nah.
I mean, no one really is, you know, unless you've been doing some type of public speaking since we were younger. And I'm gonna say something though that did kind of help. DJing helps because being in front of people and not being scared to just obviously you're not talking too much unless you're one of those MC DJs. But if you're able to just get in front of people and just feel loose, it helps being in front of a camera and trying to feel loose. It's kind of like a similar nerve wracking experience, but I'd say being in front of live people is harder. Definitely harder. Being in front of a camera is like, fuck. The only thing you're thinking is, what if? What if? In a live setting, you're like, oh shit, what? They don't like it's real time reactions. That's the only difference, you know? But yeah,
This helps out a lot though when we do have like a live audience. Like for example, when we go out to the shows and do the
it's more
podcast.
easier to talk on the mic now.
Yeah, it's we're definitely more conditioned to just go there and start talking, as opposed to like, oh shit, like fuck, like what should we talk about?
And-
or like there's people here, like fuck, like, hold on, let's start in 5 minutes. Hold on, I'm not ready, type shit. Like, nah, like we get there, we get set up. All right, boom, start recording, and whoever's there, they're there. And ever since we started podcasting, I felt way more comfortable, like just getting on camera and just
Facts.
talking, dude, just
Facts.
talking, just and not being scared to say what ends up coming out of my mouth. 'Cause I feel like that's like one of the fears I've had is like slipping up on saying something that maybe like, because sometimes like the way I talk and I speak dialogue, rarely now because I'm trying to get better at it. I sometimes say something that I feel like I say it before my brain processes it. If that makes sense. Like I'll say it, but
You're working in real time, fam. That's what's going on. You're just talking in real, and like it's also though like
that's where the stuttering comes out a lot too.
We're a
Like,
product though too of like this text messages and social media. Like we grew up in that era, you know. So like for us, most people our age and younger, they're now used to being able to see a text message, wait, think for a second, write it down, look at it. No. Okay. So like so before we did the podcast, that's just something we're always used to, unless we're in always in a social setting when we're always talking to people. But I don't think even us, like, we weren't that, because for the most part we're in isolated setting when we're just producing by ourselves.
true.
We're not even in too much of the social settings. So I think what did help for us, or in our example or my example specifically, smoking, because smoking is a social social thing. We'd always link up with a bunch of random people, we'd smoke and we'd just talk. So that's another thing that I want to say, like, drug users, I guess, or especially potheads, that's something they do have. If they're not that lonely stoner, they're doing it in social environments where they're always talking. But
specifically weed, because there's other vices like drinking alcohol or taking a shot to kind of loosen up, be more social. But I have noticed with weed specifically, it's a bit, you get more of a social personality come out of you.
you just
more
want to do
sociable
it with others. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I feel like when you smoke, it's a bit more. It's way more enjoyable. At least my experience. Like you could just always have a great time. Like just like sharing the joint or sharing like a hit with
Because
somebody.
you get the giggles, and then
Mhm.
everyone else around you get the giggles, and it's just it's contagious. Like
Mhm.
the feeling's contagious. But yeah, like I think that's kind of something that would help us in the podcast space. But I think doing this more helps me now. When I first get on stage for one of my sets now, the first thing I do is I want to get on the mic and let people know who I am and stuff like
Okay.
that. Before that, I would just want to play the dope intro that I had made, and I wanted to catch the people's attention like that,
Okay.
like with just music. But now I want to promote myself. Now I want to be like, "Hi guys, I'm Zion Don. I'm gonna be playing for you guys. This is what I'm gonna be doing," instead of having people have to try to guess or just look at my visuals. And it's easier now for me to get on the mic and be like, "Hey guys, this is my next track. I just made,"
Okay.
it made it very this made that super easy, because now I'm not even scared to talk about nothing.
Word.
Point
Okay.
blank period. Like this helps with just being able just to talk out loud,
That makes sense.
and like we can edit it. Y'all can't see the shit that we don't want you to see anyway. So
Yeah, whatever you guys come across on YouTube when it comes to Lucid Simple videos, you guys see it, but there might be some things we might edit out. And that's the other thing about doing podcasts is like, especially when it's not live, like real time, like whatever we don't like, we just could always just end up cutting out, or we just feel like it was just like a gap, it was just buffer, like things that I don't think our audience, are gonna be like eager or like interested in listening. Like just shit like that, we just have control. And that gives me more of like makes me more comfortable too. Like I was going back to what I was saying before, like sometimes I say things before my brain fully processes it. So even at the end, if I didn't like what I end up saying, or it's just bullshit, like whatever, like just always edit it out.
facts.
Fuck it. Like
But I mean, but I think with you specifically, you think a lot. Like before you say shit, you're processing it. And
No, for
I feel
sure.
like and I don't know if you notice it, and I didn't really notice that's what you were doing until like recently, is that you'll be having a conversation or like you'll be talking, and then you'll be finished processing something, and there'll be like a little bit of dead space, but it's you just like thinking, did I tackle every aspect of what I wanted to tackle on that conversation? Because then you'll dive back into it after like a little bit of dead space type thing. But it's just like you process, you know? So it's like you wouldn't necessarily see that if we were just typing to each other or something like that, you know?
That makes sense. Okay. Because you
So-
can't express that through text. You can't really. I get what you're saying. Like the
Yeah.
the worst public speaker can be really great at texting. You feel
Yeah,
me?
or they're good at actual dialogue. It just takes some time to be like, okay, pause. And then people think of that pause as like oh, you don't know what you're saying. But in reality, like, no, I'm just making sure I've tackled every aspect of what this is before I could continue to speak, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you kind of summed up like most of like my thinking process for sure. Specifically through texting for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd have to bring up. Well, no, for sure, public speaking is a skill. Like that shit's a skill. And I'm just glad that this podcast helped me out with my public speaking because like looking at like past podcast episodes and up to now, it's like all right, yeah, like I could tell that I'm a bit more comfortable. I'm not speaking as much.
We've only
I'm
been
taking
doing
more
it-
pauses, which allows me to think a bit more. Which I wouldn't. Which I feel like if I paused, like people will be like, oh, like why do you pause? But now I'm more comfortable doing that because I just want to make sure like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm gonna say. All right, cool. Yeah, it's just different when you're just speaking on camera. Like it's just a different,
and,
different atmosphere.
and it's hard too sometimes because
Like it's going on the internet, bro. Like
and when we meet these people, it's our first time meeting them sometimes, you know, and like and actually trying to talk to them. So it's really hard to maybe we should research more, but at the same time, like
yeah, I mean, I try to research as much. as much
it's
as I
not
can.
even that. It's just sometimes like I'll over research someone, right? And then maybe I'll have like a predetermined like train of thought that I want to go in a podcast or that I would want to like ask or something. But then like when they're here and then they start talking, I'm just like, oh nah, let's just they're
Like fuck my original plan. Let's go with whatever's happening right now.
yeah, because they're very in the moment and they're very dialoguistic, I guess. They're very conversational to where we don't need to be interjecting, you know? Like, I'd rather be like, oh, okay. But like, and just continue off of what they're saying rather than.
Like you're just branching off of their conversation with a different aspect of that of like
and
of that
some of
particular
these
conversation.
some of these producers and DJs have that, you know, and some of them don't. But that's why we have like our questions, our quick hits. That's why we have EDM confessions. Like that's the reason for that. But if we don't have to get to those, if we just save that for the end, which we've been doing lately. If you guys haven't noticed, our podcast has been like at least 2 hours now, almost 2 hours every spotlight. And the EDM confessions is the last thing we do now because we go a whole hour or some without even having to get to it. But I still like getting to those because they're fun questions. Like I really like because as a DJ, those are the funny questions you want to be asked. You know, not the serious questions.
Nah.
Yeah, I want to be like, ha ha ha.
There's
you
time
got
for
me.
serious questions, and then there's time for like fun, engaging questions. That's
Yeah.
like, makes people relax, and that's what Lucid Temple is all about in that aspect of EDM confessions. It's not serious, more so just connecting more to their personality and like their
Facts.
views of like particular questions and scenarios. And yeah, like these recent podcasts, a lot of times they have been coming out 2 hours, and the reason for that is like sometimes explanations need longer time. Like sometimes those longer explanations reveal details where that detail might not have been revealed in a shorter span of time to explain that.
It's funny because like when we first started doing the spotlight, my whole idea was like to 15 to 25 minute.
Our first episodes, that was our goal. Like, let's keep it within 20, 30 minutes. But then as we were like actually,
because my whole idea behind that legit 15 to 25 minute, because coming into this, and especially the YouTube space, I was thinking those are what's most popular right now, and I'm gonna add in a lot of post editing. I'm gonna just try to edit it as much as possible, so we could compete to that style of format.
And I was gonna say that too, like YouTube, like the consumption of YouTube, the shorter the videos,
and the
like,
more
the better.
editing, the more cuts, the more random jump shit, the better. And
I
that's
agree.
what I was like, okay, maybe we could do that. And if you guys go back to the first, I'm telling you, the first 3 to 4 or 5 spotlight episodes,
You guys can go on our
there's a
channel.
lot
They're
more.
there.
There's editing in there. I add in a bunch of memes. I add in a bunch of random shit. I'll add in some music. I was doing that because like that's my idea of what I wanted to do. But the conversations got too long, and there was no way of me editing that post for hours and 45 minutes.
Like, it didn't make sense for someone like you to like go through the editing process.
Especially because
like,
I produce and shit like that. So it's like I'd rather put a lot of my focus into that. Because if I were to go into that route,
that's
I'd
I'd
have no time for DJing, for producing, for sending, other shit, email, shit like that.
Or not only that, bro, just
Personal
time for yourself.
Too.
Yeah. I was gonna
say,
time. I think that's very important. Time for yourself. Because again, we always ask about, I need time to produce, or I need time to like focus on other shit. But sometimes you need time just to not worry about those goals. Like, just
so hard.
Just like watch your favorite movie or go to your favorite place. Go to a show. Like, just be human
with that, bro. I struggle with that heavy.
Dude, we could talk about it. This could be a whole different podcast about like, if I'm somewhere,
we're here.
I know I got you, but that's like a whole other podcast of us just like, and it goes down to the feeling of like we're out somewhere.
We feel like we could be doing more.
No, or not only that, I feel like we get into the mindset of like, what can we get out of this? That's why I feel like I try to break out of that. But that's like,
think about that.
No, me neither. But that's like, it's just part of that like, that mindset of like, we could like, let's see what we can make out of this, and that's just like.
And it's funny because even when like, we go out collectively, like me, you, and then the homie Mark, right? When we go out, I'm always like, all right, hey, let's do something and like something different, wild, something to make it worth our while of going. But I do that because I'm like, then why do we go out here? Just to be like everyone else, but at the same time, like, that's exactly why we came out here. Is to be like everyone else. You feel me? But and then I get like, I don't. Let's do something. Let's get attention towards. That's my thinking. But I'm just like, it's because I don't. Yeah, I don't know that it's.
That's just how we're wired at this point. You feel me? And like, if good thing or bad thing, that's just
this, bro. Like, because if you get into look at new DJs and producers, they don't have this. They want to be in front of everyone. They want to show people like, hey, we do this. Like, it's a different mentality than us. We've been doing it for more than 10 plus years at this point.
I like how you brought that up because I have noticed people that are just getting into it. They try to, I'm gonna say this word. They try to show off as much as what they know, and whatever passion it is. Either they're a DJ, videographer. Like, it's just that's their main goal. Is like, hey, this is like what I can do. But since we've been DJing since like teen years, like 12, 13, 14, like our high school years.
Yeah.
At least for me, middle school. Like, we've been doing this. So like, that's not our prioritization. Like, making others known that, we could DJ and like we could DJ sick as fuck.
It is.
No, well,
but
like,
that's not our main priority.
Right. Like, we do that subtly to where other people they try to make it like,
the way we do that is we focus in the art that we put out.
Right.
That's how we show off. Is I'm gonna make this shit bang bad, and we want to show off the right way, if that makes sense. That's how we want to show off, the right way. And I don't even know if there is a right way. But if I want to be shown off, I want it to be because people thought my art was fucking dope. And if people think, oh, he's just showing off, and like, how can you can't say, oh, he's showing off in this song.
Right, I get what you mean.
You know, like maybe you could.
maybe you can though. Like,
I don't know how.
I mean, maybe you might
Look,
do like a
people's-
revolutionizing like song pattern that
Okay,
like
yeah.
never.
Sometime Must Die be showing off. You feel me? Like big fact. He
Like,
just
rare.
be showing
It's rare.
off.
Hella rare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just be flexing their
Like, yeah, I can do this. I got Ableton, bitch. What's good?
like a producer. This is how produce like if they're being if real show off like arrogant producer, if they're
Let's
like
hear
a
it.
trap producer and they hear like some basic shit in another genre and they're like,
Mm.
oh, I could do this, and then they do that shit
Ah.
real quick.
But it's not a genre that they do it.
But
But,
they're just like, oh, this is getting attention.
all right,
I could do this too. What do you mean? And look, I'm gonna bring this up just because this is how I thought. And Dylan Francis, when he did his version of "Do It to It," that's what I thought he was doing.
he has
bro.
a do it to it version.
I don't
Like, it's
no,
public?
It's not "Do It to It." He was like, "Hey guy," he put up an Instagram story and he was like, "Hey guys, you know this song that's been blowing up over the summer?" And he played the "Do It to It" thing, and he was like, "Well, look, I got a song just like that." And he was like, "But the label's not letting me put it out. So can you guys show the label that we should put it out?"
Okay.
And
Okay.
I thought that was throwing a little bit of shade on fucking
A-Craze.
on A-Craze,
Like-
because he was like, "Okay, I can do it too."
Okay.
And I was like, "Nah, fam, that's." As me as a producer, I'd be like, "Fam, don't do that. I know you can do it. You're Dylan Francis, fam. You know." So it's like that, but that's how a producer could flex. I think that's if you really want to flex like that, that's how you could flex. But I mean, that's just me fucking creating wild narratives in my head. You feel me? That could be totally off, not true. But I don't know, my head. That's what I'd be thinking. I'm a producer. I put myself in producer brain. I don't know.
You know, now that you're mentioning this, I feel like I subtly do this.
Yeah.
I like I'm not necessarily thinking that I'm trying to flex when I get into a different genre. Because when people hear Husky, I don't know. What's good, Mark? Just get out of here, Mark. What the hell? What's good, bro? Hey, hey, we're podcasting, but bro, we're gonna show love to the homie that just pulled up.
It's
You
our
feel
boy
me?
Segura.
We got Segura in the building. Hey, tell him who he goes produce for, real quick. Tell me who he goes produce for.
What's his name?
Who? Dead Mouse? True. No, but I feel like I subtly do. It may sound, it may look like I'm flex. Like the way you're saying it, it can even say like I'm flexing. Because when I try to get into different genres, like because when people think of Husky, for some odd reason, and I have a few
Trap?
factors as to why. Oh, they think just dubstep.
Really?
No, dude, they think dubstep. Yeah, for sure. People always tell me,
crazy.
and they're like, "When are you gonna play some dubstep?" And you says, "You've been playing a lot of house." I'm like, and that's why I've been doing a lot of different genres because I'm trying to stick. I'm trying to not be labeled
Wait,
as a dubstep producer. Oh, this
you were really like you hear that a lot. People say dubstep.
people tell me like, yeah, people will come up to me and be like, yeah, bro, like. Or I'll hear other people like talk about me, and I'll be in front of them like, "Oh yeah, you should follow Husky. Like he's a sick dubstep producer." I'll hear that a lot in the same line. Husky is a dubstep, or not sick. They'll just be like
That's so
the main thing.
weird.
They'll be like, "Husky's a dubstep producer." I'm just like,
I would never.
and that's why maybe that's like more motivation for me to go like multi-genre because I'm not in a sense I'm not really trying to label myself as a dubstep
pause real
producer.
quick. When you first started, was your goal wasn't dubstep? No, it was trap.
It was trap, bro,
Trap.
and now it's
see,
trap,
and
dude.
this is where this, and we've had this debate, but this is where lines get blurred. It's from when you started to now. The difference between what trap is and what dubstep is, those lines got dummy blurred. You know, so it's like
I try to figure it out though. I'm like, okay, so why do they feel like I'm a dubstep producer? And I'll go
I
back
think it's
to
branding.
no, but yeah, and that's one of the things. And I go back to past things. Okay, well, I have stated that I've played Lost Lands,
Yeah,
so maybe people are taking that because I
You
played a
do play
dubstep
lot of
festival.
bass shows.
I do play a lot of. I play a lot of bass music
Yeah.
at the shows that
And
I
you
end
play a
up
lot of
playing.
bass shows. Period.
Yeah, and so I can see where some of this labeling comes from. I don't care. Like some artists, like, oh, don't call me a dubstep producer. I don't care. Like whatever your interpretation of me as an artist, like just run with it. Just know that that's not necessarily strictly what my releases are all gonna be. Like you hear a lot of my releases recent, like my recent release, the aside from the remix EP and the VIP, like it's like trance and drum and bass. So sometimes I do get away from dubstep, and this year is gonna be a lot more variety for sure. Like there's a collab, there's a dubstep collab that I got with Blood Yaw from Mexico. I have a house track releasing in 2 months. I have a drum and bass track releasing in 3 months. Like it's a lot more variety because I'm just trying to say
You're a bass producer. If I could
Oh, yeah,
label
yeah.
you, I would just say bass.
I'm more
producer.
comfortable with that term.
With that.
I'm a bass producer instead
Yeah.
of like dubstep because I feel like that's just like for what I've been making
It's
and like
not.
what I've like
It is,
pushed
but it's
out.
not. It's not.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I
label
make
you a
dubstep.
dubstep producer.
but that's not the only thing I just
Last year, how many dubstep tracks did you put? Oh well, you did put out. You
Like the
did
EP.
put out. Okay,
made. So there's the
in
EP.
the last few years, I'd say the last. Let's go 3 years, because I'm pretty
Okay.
sure within those last 3 years there was a big change in your career. I don't know if it wasn't noticeable or not, but
Okay.
there was definitely a change there,
Word.
and
Okay,
I
I
could
believe
say
it.
that for sure.
So-
But I
okay.
could say some of your standout moments within the past 3 years was the "Say What You Want" EP. Was the Voicemail track that you put
Okay.
out for last year,
Yeah, it was just
for-
a SoundCloud.
or was it not?
Yeah, it was
the
just
one that you
SoundCloud.
put out for Valentine's Day.
I'll add on to it. Toxic Love.
Toxic. Okay, yeah, there you
Dude,
go.
people
Toxic
keep-
Love.
people
That's one
to
you had
this
put
day-
out for Valentine's, right?
Fun fact, bro. I go on my Spotify for artists, and I still have new music that's released this year, bro. On Spotify, Toxic Love that released last year.
That was a dubstep.
It's trap, dude. It's straight
Trap.
trap. It's just straight trap.
Okay, so
And that's like my highest stream track on my profile. It's
I would say
Toxic Love.
hybrid trap, bro. I'd have to.
Hybrid trap.
I'd have to put it in that hybrid trap.
Okay,
Uh,
what makes it hybrid? Like at what point does trap
Since-
become hybrid trap?
since, bro.
Since okay.
Since, because it's not just 808. Well, it is though. It is just 808s
And it's just like a synth.
trippy-
Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
more. I feel like it's more trap than hybrid
But there's
trap.
automation in the synth pattern, right? In the drop, I'm pretty sure if I remember this correctly.
Are you just basing it off of like automation though? Like automation makes it hybrid trap, or what are you trying to say?
The automation in the synth.
There's automation on the reverb of the synth. So to put it in literal terms, I'm sidechaining
I
the
want
synth.
to hear Husky
but I'm
hum me his drop real quick.
Huh?
Hum me the drop real quick. Mouth the
Alright,
drop.
alright. Oh, yeah. Boom, 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 boom,
Okay,
boom, boom.
you're right.
Like
Toxic
that's
Love.
hella trap.
No, it
Hybrid
is.
trap, I feel like there's a lot. There's a
That
lot
was
more
Toxic
other
Love,
sounds,
though, right?
There's a lot
But what
synths.
blew up on that Toxic Love remix? What was the track that blew up? There was a
The-
bunch of remixes. Which one was the most pinnacle one?
From the remix EP? It had to be the Young Rachel one.
A dubstep track, right? It was dubstep.
It was hybrid trap.
Yeah.
I'll give it
Within
hybrid
those
trap.
lines, yeah.
Yeah,
within
well,
those
yeah.
lines,
It's
within those lines,
fucking
right?
EDM is just everywhere nowadays.
And like I said, and your Say What You Want EP, and then Can't Stop, or fuck.
Yeah, Can't Stop Me.
Those have been your standouts, I think. And you put out that rhythm track, that throw your
Throw It Up.
throw it up. Okay, those have been standouts for you within the last few years, right?
Mhm.
For sure. They're very dubstep or bass, catered to that area. So it makes sense why someone would say, "Oh, he's a dubstep artist." I guess.
No,
I guess.
and I. It's not like when they tell me, I get surprised. Like
Yeah.
I could kind of have
Like,
an idea. Like, all right,
You're
yeah,
like, oh,
like-
you became a fan during this time.
yeah. There you go. Oh, what's your favorite track? Throw It Up. Got it. Okay. Oh, This Is Love. Okay. Now I could tell that you're probably do not see me as like a bass producer. You see me as like, and that's like my style that I've been trying to make it more recently. It's just not stick to one genre, and that's why you've been seeing this progression in my tracks where it's like first drop may be like strictly in one genre of like dubstep, and then I take it second drop, it's like drum and bass. And it's just my idea of like marketing of like, well, if I could try to get two markets to tune into one track where like fuck it, maybe they don't like the first half, but they like the second half. Like people have the option to skip through a track and get to the part they like. And if I could like get in
That's what
touch,
DJs are for, yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, and this is weird because when I make music with those thoughts. Like, okay, I'm making this. So far, the way it sounds, it's only going to appeal to this
Damn,
particular
I don't think of that
demographic.
at all when I'm producing.
But that's the thing. You don't necessarily want to think like that. But that's like just
I understand why you would.
I'm a data
Yeah.
geek. I'm a data freak. So I'm just like, no, I'm gonna use the term. I could rinse this track out. I could get more people to.
And it's
to
funny
latch
'cause,
onto it. That's
I-
been my production process
Recently,
lately.
right?
Recently,
Especially
yes.
recently, I can see it too. I could now see when you're putting out a track, not necessarily to say this is a banging ass track, but just to see what other people do with what I did, and I can see it, and you could tell well with you putting out stems for your track and stuff like that. But then also like with certain songs, I feel like you could put hard drops if you wanted to, but you're like, you know what? I
That's
want to
funny.
see what hard drops these other people would put in because I know this build is leading up to a hard drop. I'm just not putting it there.
Hey, but I'm not gonna lie though. There's sessions where I go into them like, oh fuck, like writer's block, right? The excuse. But it's like sometimes like, how would I put this? Like, you want to like when it comes to EDM production, like the drop is like your one of the meccas of like why people tune in for EDM track. Most
For me,
parts,
that's what I focus
right?
on.
Oh, understandable. And so like, yeah, I could try to invest a lot of this time into like making a sick ass drop. But my main prioritization is, and like I love to make art, but I love to make art that lasts. And my prioritization is like I don't want this track to be just some track that people get hyped on for 1 week, and then the next week they're just on to the next. So like maybe
see.
maybe like the incentive is not to make the drop harder, but just to make the song memorable,
That's a
make the song appealing.
unique perspective because I don't think a lot of especially dubstep and rhythm producers. I want to say those producers specifically.
Oh yeah, I'll
And maybe even bass house produce.
starting producers. Let's just go with starting producers.
I don't want to say starting because some starting producers don't even. They just want to make music, right? And
okay,
so,
that
you
makes
know?
sense. Okay,
So
I agree.
I want to specifically put it on the rhythm and dubstep and trap. They're not necessarily looking for that amazing build, for that emotional connection to the bridge, to the intro. They want to get all of that over with. Because I'm like that. I'm 100% like that. I want to get all that, not necessarily over with,
I'm like that too, though.
but I want to get it to where I only want to work on this drop because that's what I like about a track.
Yeah.
But I need to peel that away, and that's I'm just gonna go into this. That's why I liked when you put out the stems for "This Is Love" or "This Love."
Mhm.
Everything about like all the build. Well, personally, I take this how you want to. I liked everything except the drop, but because I know you could have done some shit with the drop, you just decided not to. I know you decided not to. I know flat out you're just like, all right, now I'm just gonna go into this area and people are gonna fuck with it because it's a little vibe.
But
I know you could have done something different. with
and
it.
to attest to that, you're right. I could spend a little bit more time on seeing what other variations of the drop I could come up with. But it's like one of those things where like,
But you focused on everything else though. That's what I like. Like you focused on the intro to that track. You focused on the build. You focused on the breakdown after the drop. Like you could. I felt that. I seen the focus of what you were focusing on mostly in that track, and that's why I liked it. And I was like, oh hell yeah! And that you put out the stems for that. I was like, oh hell yeah! I don't gotta focus on this part. Let me make this like let me
got
just
you.
focus on this.
And I
drop
heard you,
part
and I
now.
heard the remix that you sent me too. I could tell like you didn't really mess around with.
I take out pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just
like-
even my
like
own
you
little,
cut up-
like,
you cut up-
space flair. You know, just a little bit of like my own little.
But you said fuck
personality
the
to
drop.
it.
Let me just make another. Yeah, right. You should make another drop.
Yeah, I was like, all right, but
I respect
wanna,
that. I
wanna
respect
make
that.
this a hard drop because
That's why the stems are there.
exactly,
That's
and
why
I
the
feel, and I
stems are
feel
there.
like I know that's why you did it. I know that's what like. I mean, I could kind of like hear it, see it, you know. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. I wish more producers would do that now because I'm just like, it's basically your way of saying like, I focused on a specific part of this track, Now I want to see what these producers are gonna add on.
Because
to-
this concept has potential, and
he knew that.
and maybe another
I didn't
producer.
execute it right, but someone else will execute it just how my fantasy is, right?
Because I'm at a production level where I'm satisfied with whatever I push out, but given there is maybe another producer out there or a creator that could be like, oh hell no, like this is a good base. Watch me do this with this shit.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a testament to that.
That's how I felt. That's
the
exactly
Can't Stop Me remix EP, bro. Like, I'll give you a good example, bro. The Rami remix. This motherfucker just took the vocals and worked around that shit. And honestly, I wish that would have been the original, bro. Straight up, bro, because they came with 3 drops, to where the original only comes with 2 drops. This guy went in and did like a 4/4 hard dance style first drop, build up to dubstep, and then ended it with another like dubstep drop. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, imagine if that was like that. That's what I think about that particular remix for my original song. Imagine if that was the original. And I'm glad I was able to give that opportunity to other producers for them to able to see that, oh shit, like there could be so many versions of a concept, and maybe it may sound,
you know,
and they have the chance to make it however they feel like it should have been.
I think that just comes with us not appreciating what remixes are, you know? Because I feel like when I make a remix, I don't give myself a lot of credibility for that.
Okay.
You know, I give myself I took this and made it just like a little bit like more of me, but I'm not going to take, but like at the same time, like you said, you wish that could have been the original. So at the same time, you got to take in this was cool. Like, this was fucking awesome. I still did this. Same thing with, like, on the same veins of a bootleg. Like, this is still producing, you know? And I think some people, when I say some people, for the most part, I say that just to project it on other people, but I'm probably thinking about this myself. Some people see that as cheating. You know, like, this is
taking shortcuts. You're not building off from
it's not my original
scratch.
idea type thing, you know?
And I used to be like that.
I'm still like that.
No,
and that's why
like that.
And that's why because I feel like that's why we pumped out original. That's why same thing with the homie Segura here too. I know that's why we pump out so many originals, bro. Because like we at a certain aspect we feel like it's cheating, bro. Like even if we use long like 4-bar samples, like we feel like it's cheating. Like if we use loops, sometimes we feel like it's cheating, and like it's technically not. It's really fucking not. But that's just us not being like, oh, this isn't purely me.
I was just about to say that, bro. To add on to like when you don't really like give yourself as much credit, that's the thing, bros. As true artists that make music, when you do remixes or let's put bootlegs. When you do bootlegs, you're not fully representing your authentic creative self.
You're just putting in your flavor, but at the same time, that is you
representing. But it's not fully. It's not fully like just like you know.
A fan can't grasp onto your full artistry if you just do remix or just do bootleg. They could get the idea of what you could do, but they won't be able to find out what you can do and what you are able to do and can create on your own until you put out something that's all you know? And I think that's why we're just like, fuck, like this has to be all me. You know, I can't use someone else's like hi-hat pattern. Nah, I gotta make my own hi-hat pattern. You know, like just shit like that.
To add on to that, before we head on to our next topic, I did want to say I can see now more where the frustration comes from when an artist that the whole catalog is just a lot of originals. They don't really give much respect to producers that always remix, because it's kind of on that like, yeah, like you did remix this, but like you're not fully, yeah, for sure. You're not fully like again, it's like cheating. It's like, okay, like this only tells me that your production level, creative wise, like you're not able to make something from scratch, so you need a base to work off of, which is not wrong. Like it's cool. But just so you know, like when I talk with other producers, and especially when I hear other conversations with other producers, that majority of their catalog is originals. You'll hear those conversations like, oh yeah, like he produces, but it's mostly just remixes. So like I kind of don't really give him as much
Yeah, I say that.
respect as to a producer that can fully just make something from scratch and still make it sound,
Because that's hard.
you know, like
Look, I
still
don't
make it
want to
sound
say
good.
that's harder, but it's a little more difficult.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Because
Making originals is hard. Like it's
it is.
and to be satisfied with it. To be satisfied
and
with
to
it.
be like, this is main, like, and
Like,
say this is a mainstream.
I'm gonna
like,
distribute it on Spotify and Apple Music and shit.
so
Like, yeah.
fucking different. Because you're like, think about all aspects to the song. Your drums.
Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, are my drums just as good as a drummer out here? Is this piano chord just as good as a professional fucking piano player that can play? Are these fucking leads just as good as, say, like a guitarist fucking playing the lead synth on his guitar? Like, we're thinking about all of that shit. And then at the same time, you want to impress every single one of those people. So you're like, okay, now I got to make it different. And back to what we touched on last week, different and isn't necessarily what sounds good and popular. You could be different, but it's not gonna hit the masses because the masses don't want different. They want the same of what's good, pretty much, right?
Yep.
So it's like making originals is so fucking difficult.
It's a lot more different than making bootlegs and remixes for sure.
And like, but like we said, like no disrespect
Nah,
to
no
doing that, because that's just as hard as, I mean, doing remixes and bootlegs is just as hard. You're taking someone's original idea and converting it into your own, you know, like that's hard to deconstruct something that's already fucking dope and construct it in your own way. That's just as hard, but it's just, you already have a basis to, you know, how it's going to perform type shit.
And not only that, it's like you do a remix, and at least for me, this is just for me, maybe other producers as well. Like I do a remix or a bootleg, even a boot. Let's just go down all the way to like a bootleg. Did I do this track justice? Because that's what I think sometimes. I'm just like, okay, especially if it's like an iconic track. You know, that's something that'll keep me from releasing maybe a bootleg or remix. I could be cool. I could be personally satisfied with the remix or bootleg, but there's that question of like, did I do it justice? And maybe I don't need to think about that, but that's just like my way of thinking. That's just me like being like, all right, well, I want to, on top of doing this remix, I want to be able to be like, yeah, like I did right by this original, by making this bootleg this way or making this remix that way. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. There's different, yeah, like, and you could just tell like the producers that just strictly just work on remixes, and then the producers that mainly focus on like originals and then remixes and bootlegs here and there. Like, there's definitely, for me, I've noticed there is a gap in production.
There is.
I've noticed. Or just in the creative aspect. Because technical, like, you could probably be on the same level, but when it comes to creativity, like starting from scratch, for me, there's definitely a skill gap. Because it is a skill, to be honest, to be consistently creative.
But I mean, making edits and remixes and bootlegs, it's a good starting point. It's a good learning point. It's a good way. It's a good way for almost instant gratification, you know? It's like that, because you don't really got to put too much work into an edit or bootleg. You could just take a piece of a bar and switch it with another piece, and it's going to sound pretty decent. Like, you just legit cut and place, and it's going to sound pretty decent for some people, you know? And they'll have that feeling of accomplishment. But like, how deep of an accomplishment do you want to feel when you're producing type shit?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Really good question.
But like I said, it's all dope. It's all unique. Do what you want to do. At the end of the day, it's art. So there's no wrong way in doing it type shit.
Hey, if you got a fan base, fuck it, roll with it. Like, if you're satisfied with wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, like, just run with it. Like, you know, that's just our thoughts, my thoughts, his thoughts. You know, like, that's, and that's this is not just our only thoughts. Like, we talk with other people that's in the industry, and like a lot of these people feel the same way. And
yeah, some people, and then some people just feel totally opposite. But I mean, to each their own, you know.
Like, some people that we know, they'll make a bootleg and they'll act like they're the greatest producer ever. You feel me?
And I'm like, hey, bro, maybe you are. I wouldn't have made this bootleg. So
right.
I guess.
Like, it's all subjective. You feel me? Like, but and that's the other thing too. I hate that I'm like this. Like, first impressions. Like, when someone sent me, it's different when someone tells me, "Hey, check out my remix," versus, "Hey, check out my original." My first impressions are very different, just because from my background. My whole
Yeah.
background on catalog, I'm always just like, oh hell yeah, originals. Let's hear what you got, like fully as an artist. And then when I hear remixes, I'm like, all right, cool. You got something to work with. You put your flavor to it. I'll fuck with that. But for me, I have a way better, exciting first impression when you give me an original versus remix,
I
just
think,
because of my background. Like you could show this bootleg to another person that maybe just works strictly on more bootlegs, remixes, and originals, and they'll be like, oh fuck yeah, dude, this is some hell yeah. First impression, fuck yeah, we out here. But my personal background, like I get a little bit more excited for sure when it's an original versus remixes and bootlegs. But remixes and bootlegs, they be fire though.
I
you know,
think
they
what
be
you could
fire.
tell though with remixes and bootleg is you could tell who the artist is influenced by.
True, yeah,
But
okay. Shout out branches.
true. Back to real quick, how you were saying people label you as a dubstep artist.
That should be funny, bro.
Would you what would you want to label yourself?
Just a dance music artist, bro. You know,
An
just someone
EDM
like
artist?
Marshmello, bro. Like, I just feel like I just feel like
I think he
you're
does
not
pop
paying.
music.
I just feel like you're not paying attention. Well, like Marshmello, like underground.
So is that okay?
like
let me ask you this.
like I'm.
No, okay. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you
All
this.
right, ask me.
What's
ask me.
your goal of an artist? Like, if you would want to compare at the end of the day your career to another career, whose would you be like? Oh yeah, at the end of the day, I'd like to be compared next to this person, or if not compared.
No,
next to,
yeah,
on
okay.
the
This is
same
a good
level.
question. This is a
On the
good
same
question.
level.
This is a good question. For sure, if I can name off top, Barely Alive.
Barely alive.
Barely Alive. Just because.
That's a dubstep producer, fam. So at the end of the day,
No, well,
Husky's
no,
a
no,
dubstep
no.
producer, fam. Right?
Word.
He is, right? I can't.
I don't
want
want to. I didn't want to say Skrillex, bro. Like I just didn't want to say Skrillex.
Another
like,
dubstep producer.
But are we talking about lately though? Like lately, he's not been making dubstep, fam.
I'm still categorizing him in dubstep producer.
Okay, I got you.
I don't. I mean, and see, and that
Because
when I
like
first heard of
Marshmello,
him
bro.
first,
Like
so-
honestly, like my goal is to be like Marshmello, where like it's like I'm growing up because I'm building off of my style. It doesn't necessarily have to be EDM, bro. Like, but essentially my style is EDM, and that's why I'm making
So,
it more like
you think when Marshmello produces in other genres, you could tell it's Marshmello?
a lot of times I can, yeah.
I don't think I could do that
Yeah, well, a lot. Well, I don't know about recent releases he's had now.
because I've listened to his album and I've listened to some of the joint albums he's done with rappers and stuff like that. I can't necessarily.
But the thing
say
is that
it's him.
sometimes, especially at that state of an artist, sometimes there's influences that come into play. Like the label may want this album particularly different, so you gotta take an account for that. Maybe Marshmello's kind of like you could kind of tell when an artist is sacrificing their creative style just to kind of like be in the same
But that's what I'm saying.
basis
like,
of a label.
I,
I could tell a lot of times, not every time, but I could tell when like in this album could be like, oh yeah, like, or I could tell a song
so
and
you'd
be like,
say Marshmello doesn't have a genre? Because I wouldn't.
I don't think Marshmello is labeled a particular genre, but he could definitely get his feet wet in any genre that he touches, just because he's demonstrated that. And I like to be at that. Like that's like one of my
So Marshmello.
yeah, like a Marshmello. I mean, that's a big feat, but yeah, that's like I want to be able to be like that diverse. Cause yeah, bro, like I maybe later down the road, I like to do pop. Who knows?
No,
Like, who knows?
So at the end of the day, when it's all
Whatever
said
I'm
and done-
liking, bro. Like whatever I might even become a country artist in 5 years. You feel me? Like just music in general. But the fact of the matter is, I love dance music. That's what I'm making. It could change in 3-5 years. I mean, you see artists, go through an evolution, go through a process of like, they're making this stuff, they're making that stuff. But yeah, if I had to give it like not an end road, but if I had to put myself like where would I like to be labeled as, like, for sure, like Marshmello, kind of got the best of both worlds. He comes from an EDM background, no doubt about that. Like we heard him like release tracks on SoundCloud. He comes from that background.
The thing is, though, the only thing that throws me off is about a Marshmello. He's never consistently been on one wave. So
No.
for me, it's really
No.
hard to say like I know the background of a Marshmello. Because when I first think of Marshmello, I just think of like trap, arpeggiated trap. That's
Okay.
what I initially, because that's when he came out with waves and shit like that.
No, I got
That's
you.
what he was putting out. And now when I think of it, I just think of pop music.
Okay.
That's all I think of now. But I can't give him
But
like,
that
I don't think I could listen to a Marshmello song and be like, oh, is this Marshmello? I don't think I could do that.
Okay. No, I mean I agree to that. But that's the thing, like the sound gets different as later. Like what Marshmello was producing, and that's what I'm saying about our music. It may sound different like in these upcoming years. And I could just see my music being that lane, like where it just comes a bit, maybe it might be more popish. Just cause like my production type, it's like you already have these like plugs, melodies, vocals. Like I can kind of see myself maybe working with like a pop field, like working in pop, just because I work a lot with vocals in comparison to like other producers where they're just like straight instrumentation and like, oh, let's just fucking focus on the drop and that's it. To where Marshmello, it's like, okay, you could tell he's not heavily focusing on the drop. Just wants to make a sick collaboration, want to make a sick record, maybe sacrificing a harder drop for a much more memorable melody or whatever the fuck the case is, right? But yeah, I like to be at the level of Marshmello. Like that's like my blueprint for me. Cause like, you see Marshmello do all these opportunities, Fortnite, play all these festivals. Whether if he's still making his own music or he's like getting his shit ghost produced, I mean, who the fuck knows? But like for me, like that's like one of the artists I could see myself be like, oh yeah, like that's something that I definitely look up to, like the grind, like the process of that. I mean, honestly, that's just my answer off the top. I actually never thought about that, like before you asked me, like who would I like to? I mean, fuck it. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Hardwell, right? Like I would have said Hardwell, but obviously, like my music changed. Like my music taste changed. Hardwell back in the day was more progressive, electro, big room, big room shit. And Marshmello has that diversity in his portfolio, and that's where kind of like my
I guess
background kind of matches.
More the question I was, oh yeah, you answered it within what you were saying. You want to be remembered more in a realm of a mainstream perspective.
Yeah,
just a niche perspective.
And the reason why I say that is because it's just so that way people we could be more of an embodiment of like, look, this is where I started from, and it don't gotta be it don't necessarily have to be strictly just like EDM underground. Like it could be possible for someone that's in EDM underground to be in a position to where their music is being distributed on a mainstream level, hitting globally, more than like other genres and shit. Like at the end of the day, for me as an artist, I want my music spread out to many people. And when I think about a genre that gets across on a global scale, like pop is one of them, no doubt about it. I mean, aside from hip hop, but pop is one of those. You go to a mall anywhere, like a lot of times they're playing pop, or they're playing whatever the radios are playing, and a lot of times it is pop, a lot of times it is hip hop. And I also do want to do hip hop later down the road. Maybe, I don't know. That's not my niche. No, it's not. EDM is my niche. Like that's my niche, but I could see myself going down the road of a Marshmello because I know like. I mean, you could go anywhere outside of US. Say, oh, you listen to Marshmello? Most likely, you'd be like, yeah. Oh, have you listened to Blank Space or Akios? I don't know. In comparison to Marshmello, just because of like the PR, that you could get from like mainstream resources.
Like I'm saying, you at the end of the day, you want the notoriety of a Marshmello compared to a notoriety of Hardwell. Because like I said, Marshmello broke through the niche.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel it. I don't know. That's cool.
But that's just like an off the top answer. Like maybe if I were to thought about it a bit more and I thought about other artists, probably change. But I didn't think about that question. That's a good question. Yeah, let us know. YouTube, SoundCloud. Like if you're an aspiring producer, DJ, artist, who is someone that you guys would like to? Who do you guys look up to? Who do you guys want to be like the next what? I hate to say that, but like,
whose name do you want yours name mentioned with?
You go. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, when it all, because like think about it, when going to hip hop, the best hip hop artists, you're gonna say Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, Nas. Word. You know, but those type of people. So you want to be that, but with the EDM,
I
like
like to be in the same
Dead
sentence of like
Mouse.
Tiesto, Dead Mouse.
Okay,
Yeah, like you got the idea.
got you,
I'm guessing
got
the
you.
audience get the idea. Like, I only say that because my goal as an artist is just to reach as many people as I can with my art, and a lot of times that art could change, you know. But yeah, hopefully people are fucking with what I've been releasing lately. You know, looks like they've been liking it. I got a lot more music coming out too. Um,
Drew, when's your next release?
Good question.
Let's close this out. Let's close this out.
Damn, we're gonna close this out. It's funny. We talked about everything that we did not talk
We
about.
had like some things that we had planned to talk about.
Right.
We didn't talk
Like
about
we
any of
have
it.
like Excision's first stadium concert happening at the Bank Stadium, LA.
Having okay featured on our next episode. A bunch of
Word.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. So new music for sure. We got a track coming out, a flip bootleg. Oh, let's fucking bootleg. That fuck around the world husky bootleg coming out this month. SoundCloud and Audius. I actually started putting my music on Audius. Someone mentioned this, put my music on Audius. You know, I've been trying it out. Personally, honestly, have not gotten any results lately on Audius. But I guess like my idea, like my mindset's like fuck it, just get it to wherever you can. Cause some people just use that particular app and like
Facts.
they don't want to go on YouTube, they don't want to go on SoundCloud, they just want to go on Audius, and you know they just want to be a part of that like next app and just support artists that directly like release with there. So you know my music is gonna be coming out on Audius now. Um, yeah, so SoundCloud and Audius is later this month. We're in March already, so late March you'll be seeing that bootleg. And like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, I got that German bass track coming out in like 2-3 months. I got that dubstep collab with Blood Y'all, formerly known as Over. I've had two collabs with Over. He recently changed his name to Blood Y'all, and we have a track called Give Us Time. We have the artwork ready. We pretty much we're just figuring out the release date, which should be coming out like in May, maybe June, but we're aiming for May just because I already have releases that I want to focus on during March this month and April. And I got a house. Ugh, fuck, dude. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I need to start scheduling my shit because I've been finishing up a lot more tracks, and now I'm starting to get to the part where, all right, now I need to start scheduling this, yeah,
Releases.
scheduling releases and start making the promo material for it, or hitting up people to start
Labels
making
and
that
stuff,
promo
yeah.
material for it. Yeah, like there's a track that I sent to a label. The label's called Jaru Dala. Like there's this track that I'm kind of excited about, and I want to do a label release just because like yeah, I got the self releases happening. Like it's cool, but like I definitely want to be put on other labels so that way. Because in the end of the day, like another goal of mine as a producer is like I want to have that credibility. I want to be able to gain an audience trust through a particular label in EDM. One of those dope labels in EDM, underground wise, like Jaru Dala, you know, they get a lot of exciting underground artists releasing demos. And I feel like if I were to get a demo release, an exclusive release with that label, or any label of that caliber, like it would help me out a lot. Like, you know, tapping into that audience and let people know, like, hey, like, I'm husky. This is my style. Follow me. What's good? Like that's like my mindset right now. Like this year for sure, trying to get a lot more labels.
For sure.
For sure. You know, just try tapping in other audiences that don't normally like come across my page or whatever. You know, gain their trust, gain their attention, and again, just get my music out to whoever, as many on a global scale. But yeah, we got music coming out. A lot of new music coming out.
Any shows coming up?
Well, there's one in the works. We're in the works with one.
That's right.
Not confirmed.
We'll get it confirmed.
There's another someone wanted to book me. Oh, we're gonna get that. We're gonna have to email this person for sure. But there's someone that wants to book me out in Coachella, India, for like a rave cella,
Hey.
like during the week of Coachella or something. I'll
That's
probably have to
dope.
hit them up real quick then, because that's just coming out pretty soon. But nothing settled right now, bro. Like just like, oh, like would you be down to play? Or, you know, there's always like that gap of like, yeah, I'm down to play, but what are the terms? You know, like what are we looking at? What's the info?
Facts,
Yeah,
facts.
but nothing said. But
All right.
yeah, what about you?
Yeah, this month I'll have a track coming on the 24th. It's gonna be a bass house track or a UK
Nice.
bass, US bass track.
Hey.
I'm gonna start releasing those tracks now. I have like 3 or 4 of them just pretty much done. That I It's funny because I put out that UK bass mix or whatever. The mix with just a bunch of like house type music. Uh, but I haven't like all my branding since then. It's all like dubstep music and trap music. So I think that was like my first time stepping left of all that. Actually putting something out that's not that. You know?
So what would you label yourself? Like, what would you label yourself as? I'm
A
curious.
US bass artist.
U.S. bass artist.
A bass artist, bro.
Okay, bass artist.
Because it's funny because I have a show coming up too. They haven't announced it yet, so I'm not gonna give you guys a date. But go ahead and peep the retrospect Instagram and all the stuff that they're gonna be coming out with. Check that out. I'll be posted there soon. But it's funny because they think I'm a trap artist. So like,
And you know why I think they say that?
I mean, I've posted a lot of trap. I put out a lot of trap tracks, and then the last show I played for them, I just played trap.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to.
Yeah, no, I know.
And I could get, but that's the thing, and that's what goes back into the earlier conversation we had, where a lot of people label me as a bass producer. People only want to know shit about you, of shit that they only want to know about you. You feel me? Like, obviously, there's way more catalog under Zion Dawn that transcends trap. But people people don't really, and that's the other thing about consumer attention. There's just all these artists. There's people just always putting out music, so it's hard and it's challenging to stay on top of what every artist is releasing every time. So I definitely understand where some people might just label you as a trap artist, trap DJ, trap producer. They might label me as a dubstep producer.
I was playing some like hyper bounce trap shit, but like now I'm all over. Honestly, I've learned to cater to the crowd and to like more of a vibey, dancey feel. So that's why I've incorporated the UK bass and stuff like that because it's very dancey. It's fun, gets me hyped. But that's what I'm gonna be rolling out more. It's funny because there's 3 types of tracks I make and I produce. It's gonna be like the US bass type music, so like bass house pretty much. Trap, because I always be producing trap, and then dubstep. I'm always producing dubstep. So those are my main 3 genres that I'm gonna be producing. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna step outside of those 3. So if I categorize myself, it's that type of DJ. But yeah, the next maybe 2 tracks are gonna be bass house tracks, just to get my branding into that field because I really like that whole scene.
So Zion Dawn's going in that direction of a US bass
for the next few
bass
months,
house.
I think. Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay.
But I'm working on a lot of EDM, fucking dubstep tracks. So I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, I have 4 tracks, pretty much ready to go for like some bass house, UK bass, US bass shit. So for the next couple months, just expect that, and then I'll dip back into dubstep and shit. Like it's not going away. It's just what I want to push and what I want to focus on. And right now it's that UK shit. That shit's fun. It's different. It's new. It's fresh. I just want to see where that goes right now.
And I feel like because we're not big mainstream or we don't have a long fan base of people like being stuck to a particular genre, I feel like we get more freedom to be able to like do shit that's to the left without risking losing like a fan in the earlier stages of an artist. Because you could be an artist that builds up of a catalog of just straight dubstep where it's all strictly dubstep following. Then when you try to do some shit that's left, you made yourself happy. I mean, you're satisfied with the record you came out, but your fan base, fuck all that shit. Visceral, nah, fam. We want the getter that we know.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like we have a privilege of that at the moment. We're in that stage where like our fan. That's how I feel. At least for my fan base, like we're like I could do some out of the left shit, and it's like okay, like it's cool. Like exploring. That's the time to do it. If you're like already branded as one genre, Like it's just best. It's just best. It's just like either do a side project or just like do an EP. Or if you're like really confident,
EP. I think that's the best way to do
Yeah,
shit. If you want
yeah.
to step left, put out an EP and let people know you're stepping left.
okay,
You feel
okay,
me? That's it. As
Not
long
an
as you're
album, right?
branding, as long as you're branding it and promoting it to where I'm trying something new. This is gonna be different. It's not gonna be this genre. I'm not gonna show up to a show where no one knows it and then play it and expect them to fuck with it.
I feel you. Yeah,
You know, but yeah, just do that shit. And that's probably what I'm gonna do. Just focus on promotion, bro. Like this is something I really want to fucking hit the head over with a lot of people. Focus on promoting and branding your tracks and branding yourself. Give yourself split up the year into 4 quarters. You got your beginning, middle, end. Your first 2 quarters, have yourself branded a certain style. So for the first half of the year, say you have a bunch of sick house tracks, brand yourself into a bunch of house, show up at a bunch of house platforms, put out house releases, maybe put out a house release with a label, and then play those type of shows and stuff. And then once you feel like you focused on that enough, you're getting tired of it, then that's when you should be like, okay, now this next campaign I'm gonna go on, this next second half of the year, now it's time for me to brand maybe dubstep. Now I'm only gonna be hopping up on dubstep labels, on dubstep platforms, doing collabs with dubstep. Do that so that way you could get this whole scene and then get this whole scene, and it's you're not just mindlessly putting shit everywhere and hoping people catch. You want to put a focus behind it, just so people know you're focused on almost everything, and you really like this genre, and you're not just trying to leech off of it or something.
right. Okay, man, I got you.
But yeah, so got a track coming out on the 24th of March. I think I'm pretty sure it's a Thursday. And then the retro.
It is a Thursday because my birthday lands on a Tuesday, the 22nd.
Cool.
So the 24, yeah, it's Thursday, homie.
There we go. Yeah, Thursday the 24th. It's gonna be a bass house
Awesome.
track. Actually, I could just tell you all the track. It's called You Say. It's really dope. Honestly, I'm really proud of it. It's my first UK. I could say it's one of those tracks, but that one actually sounds UK bass. So yeah, I'm excited to release that because it was one of the tracks when I produced. I was like, yeah, this is it. And I don't get a lot of those moments, but that was one of those moments. So keep a lookout for that shit. But other than that, nah, that's it. I mean, obviously gonna be putting out more tracks, but yeah, that's it. And yeah, look out for our OK interview coming soon.
Bro, I'm just
Hey,
still.
just skip it.
All right.
This is Lucid Tempo. Hope you guys liked listening to this episode. We expressed a lot of our feelings here. Tune in to Friday, where hopefully we either have a guest at Tempo or we have a mix coming out for y'all. Everybody spam in the comments that you want an original Husky set from the HQ.
Original Husky set, like all Husky originals, or just like a set.
A set.
Oh yeah. I've been meaning to talk to you about that too,
Let's
because
do it.
I'm trying to do like a trying to do
We'll
a
get the
future
edits
rhythm
in
live
and,
set.
and stuff like that. We'll do it. But,
Yeah, I think people fuck with that. Like when you did the HQ one, I think people tuned in. A lot of people tuned in for that.
Yeah, I think they fucked with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's cool. We'll do it again. Fuck
Like there's
it.
a demographic for people that just want to listen to fucking sets, bro. Like for
And
sure.
look cool too. So
You guys can check that out. It's full videos out now. Discreet Live is out now as well on our Lucid Temple YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe.
Check that out.
Make sure to follow the artist, Discreet Sounds. Make sure to follow the platform everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow my partner here at Lucid Temple, Zion Don _ everywhere on social media, on SoundCloud. Make sure to check out his tracks, upcoming music. Make sure to check out some of my stuff. Can't Stop Me Remix EP is officially out everywhere. Apple Music. We got remixes from Rami, Manada, Dakota, Martian, and Kriata. So 5 remixes in this one EP. And I included my VIP in the SoundCloud Remix EP compilation as well. So go ahead and check that out. Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in for this Lucid Temple Spotlight podcast with myself and Zion Don. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you guys dig the content. And hit the bell alert button and stay notified because we drop it every week. We have not missed any week since we started these.
No,
just so you
we
guys know
have
that.
not. We never miss. Maybe we might be an hour off of upload time, but we don't
No
fucking
doubt about
miss.
that.
We
Like
don't
shit
fucking
happens, bro.
miss.
Like shit fucking happens. Like this is a 2-man team. Like real talk, like a lot of podcasts, like a lot of like it's a
They're
lot
like
of big ass
5-6
team.
people. Yeah,
We do a great job for us being 2-man team. I'm not
We
gonna
do a
front,
decent
bro.
job. We do a decent
Like
job,
we do,
bro.
I think we do for a 2-man team. We do a great job, bro. Compared to other podcasts, the way they look, the way that shit sounds, and they
Yeah.
got a whole dedicated production team.
Whole ass team,
Don't
bro.
discredit us, bro. Like we do a great job for the two of us. Imagine a team with our like,
Yeah.
with our minds behind that. Your mind behind that, bro.
Oh yeah, speaking about team, we're fucking looking for team members to join. We need a graphic designer, and then we need a co-host. We want to start doing more episodes, 2 episodes a week, where one of the episodes is we're just talking about shit in EDM, and then maybe our personal life sometimes, like just talking about in that space. And we need another person. Maybe you don't have to be a DJ. Maybe you're just really into the culture and stuff like that. As long as we see you're putting in work in the culture, we need you. We want you. We want your perspective. We want to be diverse over here. And then also a graphic/videographer would be dope, just so that we could get our shit looking right now. Like get our brand. I mean, our branding's looking cool and everything, but now we just need to get a cohesiveness and then upgrade our equipment a little bit. So hopefully we get 2 members in. That'll make us a team of 4, and I believe with 4 of us, bro, we'll get this podcast good. We'll get it working, well oiled, solid. I think yeah, so hit us up. Like I said, you just got to be into the EDM scene, bro. EDM community. Like we need a different perspective. You don't have to be a DJ. Honestly, I'd prefer if you weren't a DJ. or
Real shit.
producer. Yeah, because like we're hella biased over here, and I don't like speaking. I don't like having these conversations sometimes, knowing we're biased. Because I know I'm biased, and I know you're biased, so it's like kind of hard to have like a outside perspective looking in. Even though I try to look at all aspects of everything, it's hard. It's hard. So we need that shit. So yeah, hit us up in DMs. Hit us up on our email, losethetempo@gmail.com, and yeah, we'll get back to you. And yeah,
Thank you guys for tuning in. YouTube, SoundCloud. This was Lucid Temple, the Spotlight Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
peace.